At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You're listening to the Retro Mo Podcast. I'm your host, Mo, and I love to play and review old video games and a few new games too. If you prefer to read instead of listen, check out my written reviews at retromo.substack.com. In this episode, I'll be sharing my experience with Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1995. And I've scored this game 10 out of 10, a classic. The perfect sequel? I think so. It seems rare, to get a truly great sequel to a hit video game. When a one-hit wonder is followed up with a dud, sometimes it can mean the developer used up all of their bullets and they just ran out of ideas or energy. Donkey Kong Country was a revolutionary platformer, and Rare somehow managed to release an absolute banger of a sequel just 13 months later. It makes you wonder if the Stamper brothers and the Rare team got any sleep at all in the mid-90s. Donkey Kong Country 2 takes the best of Donkey Kong Country and just adds even more. The visuals are just as impressive, if not more so. The 8 completely new worlds with 52 total levels compared to Donkey Kong Country's 7 worlds with 40 levels feature a whole new palette of eye candy. The pirate ship levels look great, with these ropes that extend high in the sky. The way the viewport sways left and right subtly while on the pirate ship is a really nice effect. The background in the underwater ship levels may be the best looking utilization of the SNES's Mode 7 I've ever seen. It's incredible. The subtle foreground decorations add a lot of depth as well. Creme Quay introduces a swampy bog, continuing the dark and moody vibe that persists throughout the whole game. Crazy Creme Land has some brilliant nighttime amusement park cart levels, with a few Hornet Hive levels thrown in. The dripping honey foreground in the hives is a really nice touch. The level design in this game is just fantastic. Many levels opt for twisting, winding, maze-like paths with lots of height instead of the traditional left-to-right design. They constantly keep you guessing with super creative hidden areas and bonuses. There's much more incentive for exploration than in Donkey Kong Country. There's just so many features and improvements. Donkey Kong Country 2 feels very fresh. The weather effects look way better. The hot air balloon sequences are very interesting. The timed barrels are a fun new addition. Other new gameplay features include the seal lava levels, the sticky honey walls, the disappearing ghost ropes, strong wind that affects your trajectory, character-specific barrels, invincibility barrels, floating hooks, and so much more. 3 animal companions return from Donkey Kong Country: the rhino, the swordfish, and the parrot. This time, each companion has new abilities. Rambi the rhino and Engard the swordfish have a charge attack, and Squawks the parrot coughs up these projectile eggs out of its mouth. A bouncing rattlesnake and a web-slinging spider are my favorite newcomers. The spider gameplay is some of the best in the whole game. He shoots webs, which you can aim slightly upwards or downwards, and he creates his own web platforms. This opens up a lot of possibility for exploration and bonus hunting. Also, he just looks hilarious with these high-top sneakers on all 8 of his feet. He's like a wacky, waving, multi-leg flailing Muppet marching wildly through the levels. I love the spider. Diddy feels familiar, though a little smoother to play as than in Donkey Kong Country. The sprite animations are just pristine in this game. Diddy is still very quick, and the way he holds barrels in front comes in handy for certain enemies or bosses. Dixie is the new addition, and even though her movement and barrel throwing is notably slower, Her hair twirl glide is so much fun to use. I'll often just kamikaze into voids with Dixie's glide, hoping to find a secret barrel or a platform. It feels so rewarding when you do find something. Cranky Kong actually has a hilarious fourth wall breaking line about Dixie. He says, "Diddy, I thought you were a cheap character in Donkey Kong Country, but Dixie's even worse." The soundtrack in Donkey Kong Country was killer. And Donkey Kong 2's soundtrack is somehow even better. David Wise has done it again. The dark tone of many of these tracks matches the generally dark vibe of the game, and there's an intensity to songs that you just don't really find much on the SNES. Crocodile Cacophony is the hardest hitting track in any SNES game. There are some gorgeous ambient tunes as well, like Sticker Brush Symphony and Forest Interlude. The sound effects are also top-notch. Is there a more satisfying sound than collecting a banana coin or a DK coin? Again, like Donkey Kong Country, there's not much story here. However, the minimal plot in Donkey Kong Country 2 is much more interesting than the "oh no, they stole all the bananas" premise of Donkey Kong Country. This game is a bit more challenging than its predecessor. The later kart levels are tough. Well, for me anyway, with my aging reflexes. The bramble levels can be frustrating. And some of the bosses may take several tries. I died a handful of times until I figured out the trick against King Zing. I counted, and I died over 30 times against Creepy Crow at the end of Gloomy Gulch. He was tough. The rope climbing sequence with eggs flying at you at high speeds, it was just eating my lunch. And yeah, I know. Get good, noob. Toxic Tower, Screech's Sprint, and Animal Antics are also notoriously hard levels. Thankfully, there are simple tricks to farming lives and banana coins. Once you complete a level, you can exit at any time by pausing the game and hitting select. It will bounce you back to the world map, and you get to keep any loot you gained while briefly in the level. You can use this to your advantage with levels that have balloons or banana coins near the start. Start the level, grab the loot, pause and hit select, then repeat. Definitely check out Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. No game is perfect, but this is definitely a 10 out of 10 in my book. Thanks for listening to the Retro Mo podcast. As always, I do my best to keep all of my content spoiler-free and rated E for everyone. If you find this podcast enjoyable or helpful, tell a friend and consider giving a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. If you have questions or comments, you can send an email to retromopodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Godspeed. Thank you.